Uh, okay. Right. Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Yeah. And we have been, nurturing students for the MBBS since 1997 and for the BDS since 2009. And we've been focusing on healthcare since our establishment. We called Melaka Manipal Medical College, but as of February 2021, we received a status upgrade and became known as Manipal University College, Malaysia. This year, next month, in fact, in about a month, we are turning 25 years old, which means that for the past 25 years, we have been preparing the healthcare professionals of tomorrow, not just from Malaysia, but from 19 other countries throughout the world. We are delighted to say that our graduates, a majority of them, have actually completed their specialization or is on their specialization journey, and they are guided by our alumni from our India campuses of Manipal Academy of Higher Education as well as Kasturba Medical College. Walk into any private hospital, go to the specialist board. I guarantee you there will be one Manipal graduate on that specialist board, because we at Manipal, we don't just breed doctors, we breed specialists. So what exactly does it mean to become a specialist? For those of you intending to be doctors, this is your career continuum. Yeah, where you are, in fact, you're not even laves right now. You are the thought of a future butterfly, because from SPM or IGCSE, you have to do a pre-university program before you can embark on your journey to do your MBBS. Now, the MBBS is a 5-year degree that will equip you with the knowledge and skills to be able to see patients, diagnose them, and treat them when you graduate and you start your first job, which is house officer. So if you see there, let me just put a pointer on. So if you see here, house officer, this is what you call your housemanship. And I always like to tell students, housemanship is like you driving a car after you obtain your driver's license, but you have to put a P sticker. So you're driving a car with a P sticker, same duration, 2 years. Now, if you drive a car with a P sticker, you get into a major accident, which is your fault, or a major summons, they will tarik your license. So similarly, in the case of housemanship, this is the same principle applies. Okay. It's your first job. The starting salary for a house officer today, basic salary is 3,500. You will get your on-call allowance and things like that. You'll probably be taking home about 4,000. Yeah. Some of our graduates take home about 4,500 because they are from the peninsula, but they opt to take housemanship positions in Sabah and Sarawak. So they get a Sabah Sarawak allowance. Okay. Now, what happens when you finish your housemanship? The government, as of this year, has committed that you will get another contract, which is medical officer, naik pangkat lah, right? For another 2 years. Now, why is it only another 2 years? This is because in order for you to embark or apply for a specialist training program position, you need to have 4 years working experience after you finish your MBBS. Okay. Now, to embark on your specialist training, what it means is you decide what area of speciality you want to go into, and then you apply for it. There are 26 areas of specializations available in Malaysia. Of course, you can apply for international ones, but the cost will then change. All right. And when you are training to be a specialist, you are enrolled in the master's program in Malaysia, but you are actually working. So take, for example, you intend to become a orthopedic specialist, meaning you intend to work with people on their bones and their muscular skeletal frame and things like that. You will be in the hospital and you will be focusing on seeing only orthopedic cases. Okay, you will be learning from a orthopedic specialist already, and you will get paid. It's not like parents have to support you again. You will get paid. All right. If you are following in the government system, then from medical officer, you will naik a grade. So naik pangkat again. As you know, the government service, you can have one designation medical officer, but you have different grades. And each grade, the pay goes up. Okay. It's only when you've passed your specialist board exams, okay, that you will naik pangkat. Again, official title, specialist. Right? Now, most specialist training programs are 4 years. And this is where MUCM likes to encourage all our medical graduates to look towards. Because why? There are a lot of people in this stage, medical officer, but not enough in this stage, specialist. Now, if you go online, Google something called the Malaysian National Specialist Register. It's NSR, Norway, Singapore, Russia.org. It lists all the specialists in Malaysia under the different specialities. And just look at the total numbers. Okay, just look at the total numbers in various fields and multiply that or divide that by the population of Malaysia. And you will realize that it is very important for you to harbor the ambition of becoming a specialist, because that is what, the field that we need the most today. Okay. Now, later on, we'll talk about what are some of the things that Manipal does differently that actually ensures a lot of our graduates become specialists. Yeah. But for now, let's talk about what if you want to become a dentist. Similarly, after SPM IGCSE, you need to do your dentistry degree, which is a 5 years. Now, dentistry is different in the sense that while you're doing your BDS degree, you are actually working on patients and you're seeing patients. And your professional qualification, a qualifying exam prescribed by MDC is built into the university exam. What this means is you don't go through a period of driving a car with a P license. When you graduate, you are licensed. However, in order for you to use that license, the government requires that you do a 1-year compulsory service, meaning you work in a clinic pergigian under MOH for 1 year where you get paid. The starting salary is same like a houseman. It's about 3,500 with allowances is about 4,000. Okay. What happens after the 1 year? The very, very good performing ones during this compulsory service will be offered a 3 years dental officer contract. What happens if you don't get offered a dental officer contract? Does that mean you menganggur, you drive Grab? No, because you have got strong skill sets and experience and confidence that will allow you to apply for a dentist position with private practice. Dentistry today is now very different. Back in my time, when we go and see a dentist, it basically means that the dentist owns the business. But if you look around you today, and I'm sure many of you, you're from the Klang Valley, you will see chains like the Smile Clinic and things like that, which is actually a chain of dental practices. And you will have no issues being offered a job by them because your skill sets will be that good. Now, with dentistry, the pathway is a bit different because it depends on what you want to do in your life. Becoming a specialist is actually not a necessity. All right. There are only a couple of fields of dentistry, for example, oral maxillofacial surgery, pediatric dentistry. These specific fields of dentistry requires you to undergo a specialist training program. But if you're intending to say, just run a practice, work in the normal clinic, 9 to 5, see patients, be able to offer services, then you don't have to think about becoming a specialist. You can enhance your dentistry degree knowledge by taking up professional programs. I'll give you an example. In Mr. Thiru's time and my time, when you lose your teeth, your tooth, your dentist will say, okay, that tooth cannot be saved, has to come out. Get dentures. But nowadays, they are saying that dentures no longer work and it's actually not good for your bones. So there's something called implants, right? And we at Manipal, we offer a implantology program that is 4 weeks that you come and be trained by our specialists. And this is, after you've come out and started working as a dentist. The implant program is 4 weeks over 6 months, 8 months, depending on your schedule. What you will get is a membership fellowship with ICOI, which is the International Congress of Oral Implantologists, which is from the US. And you once you hang that certificate of membership in your dental clinic, you would be able to offer implantology as a service. Now, the implantology cost 4 weeks over 6 to 8 months cost about 30,000 ringgit. But here's the thing. Every time you do an implant, one tooth as a private practitioner dentist, you will charge at least 10,000 ringgit. I'm going to repeat that. Every implant tooth right now, today's pricing is about 10,000 ringgit. Yeah, your investment to learn how to do implants is 30,000 ringgit. Your first 3 customers would get you back your tuition fee already. So becoming a dentist is a slightly different pathway in terms of the career pathway. Okay, and this is the key difference between a dentist and a doctor. Right? Now, what can we offer you at Manipal University College Malaysia? We currently have a foundation in science, which we're going to talk in depth after this. We have an MBBS and a BDS. We are introducing a Bachelor's of Science, Honours of Psychology. I'll talk a bit about our psychology program. It's launching on the 1st of September. It's a 3-year degree that is focusing on clinical psychology and counseling. So if you're talking about psychology, there are actually 2 types. There's a science and there's a humanities. Humanities basically means that you're learning the psychology of people and you'll be working basically in the business world, in HR, in marketing, in advertising, that sort of thing. But if you're doing a Bachelor's of Science, psychology, then you're opening the possibility of contributing to the healthcare environment in the country and globally. Because clinical psychologists are in severe shortage. And a clinical psychologist is the companion to a psychiatrist. But to become a psychiatrist, you need to do an MBBS, you need to do your housemanship, you need to do your MO-ship, then train to become a psychiatrist, which is a 4-year specialist training program. What's the difference between a psychiatrist and a clinical psychologist? A psychiatrist can prescribe drugs and treatments like electroshocks and stuff like that. A clinical psychologist cannot. Okay, but they work hand in hand, because sometimes a patient might start out not needing medication, but you can't get them to get a hang of things and you have to progress them to a psychologist. Similarly, a psychiatric patient may stabilize, right? Get off the drugs and no longer need the services of a psychiatrist, but needs the support of a clinical psychologist. All right, so that's one other field that you can think about. Having said that, we're going to focus on our foundation in science, which is a 1-year pre-university program. It's over 3 semesters. Each semester is 16 weeks, including the holidays. And it's aimed at equipping you with the fundamental skills to be able to succeed when you go on to your healthcare degree. The intake is actually coming up in 2 weeks. The intake starts on the 25th of August. Okay, so if you have not decided where you want to go for your pre-U before you become a doctor, then this is a time to make a decision. Yeah. What is so unique about our foundation in science, and why should you consider our foundation in science if you're thinking of becoming a doctor or dentist? These are the subjects that we offer over the 3 semesters. Yeah. And if you look at the subjects in semester 2 and semester 3 that I have put in boxes, and if you've done your research as to what do you study when you do your MBBS and BDS, you would recognize these subject names: human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. These are the basic in year 1 of any MBBS and BTS degree. Our foundation in science students are introduced to these subjects. And this introduction, even though it's only 4 months, helps a lot because these subjects are the heavyweights. These are the killers. If anyone drops out of medical and dental school in year 1, it's because they cannot cope with these subjects. But our progression students, when they go into the degree, they are able to approach these subjects confidently because they've already been given the basic concepts of anatomy, of physiology, of pharmacology, of oral biology during their foundation years. Now, why is this important? It's because when you do an MBBS or BTS degree, there's no honeymoon. There's no honeymoon. It's not like preparing for your SPM over Form 4 and Form 5. They always say Form 4 is the honeymoon year, Form 5 is the year you die. But it doesn't work that way with MBBS. Okay? Semester 1, day 1, you hit the ground running. So if you are given a head start in these subjects, then you have already, you've got like, you're in a 400-meter race, you've already done, the first 50 meters. Yeah. So this is why our foundation in science program is unique. I'm sure you've been looking at other places offering foundation in science, and you would agree that no one else has broken biology and chemistry into these tenets like we have. You will be taught in a continuous assessment mode. So again, it's very different from SPM or IGCSE, where you study, you go into the exam, you vomit everything, and then the score is there. No. The foundation in science is a continuous assessment, meaning if you do your work, you participate, you do your assignments, you do the group presentations, you do the research projects from day 1, chances of you ending with a high CGPA over and above the required 3.0 to go into MBBS and BDS is very, very high. Yeah. Now, the foundation in science is also taught in a group manner. So there's a lot of group work, which again prepares you for MBBS and BDS, because at MBBS and BDS, it's all about group work. Now, you may say, yeah, I'm a very sociable person and things like that. Working in groups is going to be fine. That's not actually true. Being sociable and hanging out with friends and working together to deliver an assignment or a project is two completely different things. So that's something that you need to bear in mind. And being a team player is a skill that you need to develop and cultivate so that when you go into your degree, you are ready. Okay. Now, our foundation in science is a guaranteed pathway into the MBBS and BDS, so long as you meet the entry requirement, which is a CGPA of 3.0 from the respective degrees entry requirement subject. For MBBS, it would be biology, chemistry, and the best score between physics or math. For BDS, it's the best 3 scores from biology, chemistry, physics, and math. Okay, it's a guaranteed pathway. All right, and this is very important if you're thinking of doing dentistry, because dentistry every year for our dentistry degree, we only take in 75 students, and our foundation students get the first right of refusal, which means that we will give you an opportunity to accept an offer before we open to other people. Right? Now, what happens if during the foundation studies you decide that you don't want to become a doctor or a dentist? That's perfectly fine, because our foundation in science is an MQA recognized program, which means that you can use it as a valid entry requirement towards related fields, as well as MBBS or BDS in other Malaysian private institutions of higher learning. Okay. Now, moving on, what is so unique about our MBBS degree? There are 33 medical schools in Malaysia, but what is so unique about the one offered at Manipal? Apart from the fact that we've generated the most doctors in Malaysia via KMC India, as well as being around for 25 years, if you look at the picture above that says cadaver dissection, we actually teach you anatomy using cadavers. And if you're tuning in today because you want to do an MBBS and you want to become a surgeon, then you would recognize that learning anatomy with the assistance of a silent mentor, which is the cadaver, will provide you an edge, because it will be the only time that you can actually have that tactile feel. What do I mean by tactile feel? You will actually be able to feel the difference between a vein, a artery, and the different, muscles and bones and things like that. Additionally, with the aid of a cadaver, we find that students are better able to visualize the anatomy when they go to clinical years. Yeah. So the MBBS degree, the first 2 years is preclinical. Years 3, 4, 5 is clinical, meaning you're learning at the side of a patient in the hospital. We are tied up with 7 hospitals. Our 2 main hospitals are Melaka GH and Mua Sultana Fatima Specialist Hospital. We also use Segamat Hospital and Dhaka Hospital, and we use the Clinic Kesihatan in and around Melaka. Now, when you are at the bedside of the patient, you cannot cut them open to see the insides. If you're on the medical ward and your patient has cancer, you have to visualize it. There's no way you're going to say, can I cut you so I can see what it looks like inside? You can't. They'll die. So this is where, having a very strong foundation in anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry comes in. The other unique thing about our MBBS is our MBBS degree actually started out following the structure of an MBBS degree that's offered by our medical school in India. And in India, an MBBS is covered over 9 semesters, 4.5 years. In Malaysia, we're required to do it over 10 semesters. So instead of spreading it out over 10 semesters, we kept to the 9 semesters, which means that if you join us, you will complete your major MBBS exam at the end of semester 9. And in semester 10, you will continue to go back to the hospital, but as a shadow houseman. And a shadow houseman, we actually demarcate it. We give you a different student ID card. It's fluorescent green. So all the doctors, all the specialists, all the consultants, all the nurses in the hospitals know that you are waiting to graduate. You've passed your MBBS exams. You're just waiting to graduate and you're from Manipal. What happens then? They actually give you real opportunities to work on patients and procedures. Yeah, this is where you get to deliver a baby if you're in ops and gynae. This is where you get to stand in the operating theater next to the patient holding a retractor while the patient is being operated on by a surgeon. Okay, this is where you get all the exposure to prepare you to become a houseman. If you recall at the start, I said that Manipal is famous for breeding specialists, and this is how we do it. Because, to get into a specialist training program, it's like being promoted. It's like watching your parents get a promotion at work. Your degree, knowledge, and skills only take you so far. It's your attitude and aptitude, your confidence, your ability to demonstrate to your boss that you are someone worth investing in. And this shadow housemanship semester achieves all that. Yeah, because when you finish this semester, you would really feel like you started on your housemanship. So when you actually go into your housemanship, you'll be like, yeah, it's not that bad. It's like semester 10. Okay, so this is something that's unique to us. We were the originators of it. There are 2 other universities that offer shadow housemanship now. Having said that, it is not as thorough as us because our degree, the structure itself, was already made for 9 semesters, not 10. Okay. Now, in case you're thinking of going overseas, then I'd like to tell you that we partner with Kaplan and AMBM, which is from the UK, that helps you sign up for tuition class if you're intending to go to the US, where you need to take the US MLE exam, or to the UK, where you need to take the PLAB exam. Right? Now, what if you're thinking of becoming a dentist? If you're thinking of becoming a dentist, then again, your journey is the same. It's 5 years. The first 2 years are preclinical. The next 3 years are clinical. The difference is your clinical period is spent on campus because we have an on-site clinic that sees over 30,000 patients a year. Yeah. I myself is a patient of the dental clinic, and every year I will have some kind of dental problem. So every batch of dentistry students will have an opportunity to have me as a patient. And what we do with our dentistry degree is not just equip you with the knowledge of a bachelor's of dental surgery, but we also focus on training you to become an oral physician. So again, you will have your anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, oral biology, and you will actually learn anatomy using a cadaver as well. The difference is you will learn everything from the top of the head of the cadaver to the base of the neck. So we have one cadaver that's specially for dentistry students. We take out the brain, but everything else is there. So you'll be able to, when you learn oral biology, and you have to learn the different nerves and veins and stuff like that around the oral cavity, which is around the cheek area, the jaw area, you have the cadaver there to provide you that visual aid. Yeah. And this is how you become a better dental surgeon. Now, the part about an oral physician, it's because of the interaction with the MBBS students. You recognize that a dentist is not just a standalone profession, but there's actually many intersecting points with the medical profession. Okay, just to give you an example, tooth extraction, there will be blood, there will be an open wound, correct? Now, we actually teach you to not just say, okay, diagnose that the tooth has to come out, but also behave like a doctor does in taking the history. What if your patient has diabetes? Many of us have old relatives where they are diabetic. And you know that as a diabetic patient, if there's an open wound, it's going to take a long time to heal. Same thing applies with your mouth. It's not just the foot and the hands, yeah? Same thing applies. If you're going to extract the tooth, you have to see what kind of precautions you need to take. If you're going to do a complicated extraction surgery, you need to find out, does your patient have high blood pressure and things like that? My mother has hypertension. They're very careful with her because why? When she undergoes stress, her blood pressure goes up. She's an elderly patient. If her blood pressure goes up, chances of her suffering a stroke while having a dental procedure done is very, very high. So an oral physician looks at a patient that way. Where else a mere dentist will say, yeah, okay, the tooth are rotten, really have to come out lah. Okay, we arrange the date, you come and have the tooth extracted. Finish. Do you see the difference there? I hope you do. Okay. Now, coming back to our dental clinic, Malakans like to come to our dental clinic because they find that dental students are very careful because your students, you don't dare to make mistakes, so they like the fact that there are a lot of time and effort is spent on them. Plus, we are cheap. Okay, so there's always people lining up to have different procedures done. So this, for a dental student with us, what it allows you to do is build mastery. Okay? You might have a hobby right now. For the girls, you may like baking, sewing. For the boys, you may like to tinker with things, yeah, or playing the guitar. You would know that the first time you do it, it's okay, so only. But if you do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you get better. And if you're able to do something repeatedly, especially over 5, 6 times, you start to develop mastery. Meaning your hands automatically go into what they call muscle memory mode. Okay? And if you're trained properly, then those muscle memory mode are very, very important and critical. Eventually, when you go out to work, you become very confident in your own skills. And when you're confident, you become a better oral physician. Okay? If you've not visited us, we encourage you to come and visit us. We are open on weekdays for campus tours. We also have an open day coming up on the 20th. Come with your parents. But this is a pictorial overview. I spoke a lot about cadavers. This is what our anatomy laboratory looks like. You see the metal table down there. This is where we actually lay the body out and things like that. Now, if you're listening to me and going, ayo, Miss Barbara, very girly, how to go and see a dead body, how to learn from a dead body, die. Don't panic. Because we also have a virtual dissection table called Anatomage. You can Google Anatomage on YouTube. It's a very fascinating 3D dissection table. So, if say when during anatomy time and the cadaver is there, and because you're so grossed out by it, nothing goes in, don't worry. When you have your self-directed learning classes, you can actually come back into the lab, ask permission, use the Anatomage table, and that will help you visualize as well. Okay. We've got all the various other labs. Our physiology, biochemistry is actually in the multidisciplinary lab. Okay. But more importantly, our campus is a green lung. And it was purposely designed that way to be very, very green, simply because studying MBBS and BDS is quite stressful. But when you are surrounded by greenery, right, and you're walking through a landscape that's got a lot of trees and things like that, your emotional state naturally stabilizes and calms down. Yeah. So if you can see from the middle picture, that's our tutorial room, and outside that is our grounds. That's the kind of view that you see when you look out your classroom window, which is why if you see the lecture theater, the one on the left hand side, we have to put curtains, otherwise you get too distracted by the green trees, especially when it's a windy day. Then you see our coconut trees swaying, then you feel like you're at the beach and then want to study, start daydreaming. So we've got curtains in those labs, in those lecture theaters. Okay. We also have a fully equipped clinical skills learning center, where what you observe at the hospital for the medicine student, you come back and you practice on mannequin. We always tell students, like the ones doing the CPR picture. So we've named that robotic man. He's a Matty man. He reacts. He goes ow and things like that. Of course, he's controlled by your professor. We always tell students, you can kill Matty man 10 times, no problem. We just reboot and he comes back alive, but you need to learn the skills so that when you go outside, you don't kill 10 patients or you don't kill any patients at all. Okay. For those doing dentistry, this is where you start off. You start off with the phantom heads. This is where you learn how to sit next to a patient, what your posture should be like, get used to the angle of your hands, your elbow. The last thing you want is you move your hand and then your elbow punch your patient's cheeks. Yeah. We've also got casting labs. Everyone's got to, do a set of dentures. That's one of the first things you do. In year 1 and year 2, you have to build your own set of teeth. So you know exactly which tooth goes where, what it feels like. Okay. So you learn all this in addition to learning how to manage patients. Yeah. So if you want to apply, what's next? Firstly, you've got to check whether you meet the entry requirements. Our entry requirements for the foundation in science is a minimum grade of 5 Bs from bio, chemistry, physics, math or ed maths, and one other subject. This applies for medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, because these are the minimum grades set by the Malaysian Medical Council, the Malaysian Dental Council, and the Malaysian Pharmacy Board. What if you don't meet? Say, for example, biology, you got a C+, physics, you got a C. Okay, you can still join the FIS if you have a total of 5 credits. We will allow you to commence on the FIS and a maximum of 2 core subjects to be repeated during the foundation studies. This is, you will do what we call a sijil tampal. And you can sijil tampal using IGCSE, which is the syllabus followed by the international school. They have exams twice a year, May, June, October, November. Or you could sijil tampal using SPM, which is next year, March, right? So I repeat, if you don't have the 5 Bs from here, but you have 5 credits and you only need to tampal maximum of 2 subjects, you can start on the FIS. Is it going to be very difficult? You're going to have to work hard and you're going to have to work smart. You're also going to have to engage a tutor, especially if you're going from SPM to taking the IGCSE papers. This is because you need to familiarize with the examination styles. Typically, every year in our foundation, we will see a a group of students that needs to do sijil tampal. Are they successful? Yes, they are. At both the foundation in science, finishing with a CGPA of 4.0 and getting A stars when they repeat their subjects. Okay, but they do what they need to do, meaning they work hard, they work smart, and they get outside help. So if you fall into the category of not having the 5 Bs, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. You just have to be determined as to why you want to do this and then go about doing it. Now, our intake, as I said, is the 25th of August. It's 2 weeks' time. Our application process is completely online, and for foundation, there is no interview. The application fee is 100 ringgit. What if you've gotten better than the meeting the entry requirement? Well, we have 100% scholarship and 50% scholarship available. Okay, so this is the tuition fee if you are eligible for a scholarship. If you're not sure whether you're eligible for a scholarship or not, what you can do is you can send your SPM results to Mr. Thiru. He will then pass it to me to have it checked, and then we will advise what you are entitled for. If you get a scholarship to study the foundation in science at MUCM, there are two things you need to remember. Coming in as a scholar means that we have higher expectations of you. This means that you need to finish your foundation with a CGPA of 3.50 instead of just the 3.0. Okay. Now, enjoying the scholarship also means that we expect you to progress into the degrees offered at MUCM. All right. So these are the things that you need to bear in mind. Now, what about for MBBS and BDS? As I mentioned, from the foundation in science, you need a minimum CGPA of 3.0 from these subjects. Okay. The difference in the application process is for MBBS and BDS, there is an admissions interview. Now, the admissions interview is not too difficult. It's a conversation. I always tell students, think back to Chinese New Year, Deepavali, Christmas, and you have, uncles and aunties come to the house, especially now that COVID is an endemic, not a pandemic. And they'll ask you, so you study medicine, or why you study medicine? It's very hard, and things like that. And then you start justifying yourself to them. An admissions interview is basically that. We want to determine that you know what you're getting into, you've done your homework, you have no psychotic tendencies, because the skills that we teach you during the course of the degree, used wrongly, you end up killing people, right? But more importantly is that you have the most important soft skill required of a healthcare professional, which is communication skills. Okay? As a foundation progression student, your application fee would be 50%. So it's 250 ringgit and not 500 ringgit. This is the cost of the MBBS and BDS. Yeah, PTPTN is available. PTPTN is by family income, right? And scholarships are available for the MBBS and BDS. Now, the scholarship is only for foundation progression students. So if you join our foundation this year, you could be the next MUCM scholar for October 2023 intake. The degrees that are eligible for the scholarship is the MBBS and BDS. These are some of our scholars. Yeah. And what we are looking for is your achievements, academic and non-academic, prior to the start of your degree, which includes your foundation year. We expect you to be the best of the best. So if you are an MUCM degree scholarship holder, you are expected to maintain a certain grade in your university exams, and that you continue to shine through your MBBS and your careers as doctors and dentists. So we're looking for candidates who are all-rounders in their academics and co-curricular activity, eloquent communicators, and lateral thinkers. Right? You need to finish your foundation with a CGPA of 3.6, and then you come into this as what we call a competition basis. Now, is it worth all this trouble? Yes, it is. Because every MBBS and BDS intake, one progression student will be named the Manipal scholar. And Manipal Scholar comes with a 50% tuition fee scholarship. 50%. That's a lot of money. Okay. But again, the title is reserved to just one exceptional student. And it's up to you to demonstrate to us how you are that exceptional student to carry the rank of MUCM Scholar. Okay. Now, Melaka is very nice. I'm sure you've toured in Melaka. We have an entire row that's dedicated to boba. So if you're a boba lover like me, when you join the foundation program, one of the weekends we'll take a drive down to Boba Lane and enjoy ourselves there, right? It's a tourist town, no doubt, but what makes it great as a place to study medicine and dentistry is everybody is very friendly and they're very open to you treating them, whether you're studying medicine or you're studying dentistry. Okay. Hostel is provided. The girls' hostel is within campus grounds. The boys' hostel is about a 3-4 minute walk. All our rooms are single room with attached bathroom, right? And the rent is only 450 a month. It's payable by semester, and there's a 2 months deposit that you need to put down, which is refundable. Cost of living in Melaka is not too high. You can get by with 700-800 ringgit for breakfast, lunch, dinner. But this is, of course, breakfast. You know, you're being smart about it. You're buying bread, you're buying fruits, you're buying cereal, you're buying Milo and having it in your room. Yeah. Of course, 700-800 doesn't mean that you get to have McDonald's and KFC for every dinner. It's probably a treat like once in 2 weeks kind of thing. Our cafeteria, we've got Chinese vendors. We've got Malacca's best banana leaf caterer, Saravana, as our main caterer. And we've also got a outdoor dining place in a building, an open air building called the Gazebo, where they sell Western food, Thai chow, fried rice, that sort of thing. Okay. As a student staying in the hostel, you will have complete access to our sports facilities. Yeah. And we do encourage you to have work-life balance. So participate in all the activities that Student Council organizes, whether it's a social event, it's a sports event, it's a charity event. Okay. So our next open day, as I said, is on the 20th of August. The foundation intake starts on the 25th. You don't have much time now to make up your mind. Do let Mr. Thiru or myself know. In the meantime, follow us on our social media, Manipal UC Malaysia for Facebook and Instagram. And check out our videos at Manipal University College Malaysia on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think we'll take questions